And in the first court case of its kind in the UK, a group of parents from Portsmouth who home educate their children are taking the City Council to court in a dispute over home education regulation and school attendance notices. These notices are where parents are told to send their children back to school. A national charity discovered that Portsmouth is sending them out to 40% of the area's home education families. The average rate for other councils across the country is 2.27%. Rahel Berman, a mother of two girls, 9 and 13 years old, who has always home educated her children, joins me now. Rahel, first of all, tell us a bit about your situation. Why did you decide to home educate your children?
Hi. So my husband and I strongly believe that learning should be led by the learner, whatever the age, and that adult role is to provide a rich environment for children and a lot of scaffolding and help figuring out what the educational goals are and how to reach them. So that's an approach that's often known as autonomous education, and there are some schools around the world that do that, but very few, and they're not really accessible for most people. Home education is accessible, it's family-based, it's play-based, it's community-based, and we love doing it. I'm also sorry.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I'm also an admin in the local community, and I know many, many families who home educate, and every family does it for its own reason. But I think we're all there because we think it's the best for our child for whatever reason.
And it's hard to regulate, isn't it, home education? Each family has their own way of doing things, their own systems, their own way of assessing or maybe even not assessing. Is this what Portsmouth City Council has a problem with? Are they wanting blanket guidelines for all families who home educate to sort of turn them into home schools?
So I think that's exactly the issue, is that regulation is really a problematic goal to have when you're dealing with home education, because by definition, regulation is trying to reach some external goal. And the great strength of home education is that it can be tailored to the specific child and the specific circumstances, that it's fully customizable. And trying to regulate it really makes it weaker. It hurts home education and it hurts the children who we're trying to educate. A lot of what Portsmouth City Council have been doing is asking for things like work samples, asking for work to be marked and dated, and asking for it to be very, very school-like, which is something that a lot of families just don't do. We, for example, we don't do things that look like formal school work almost at all, which doesn't mean our education is worse. It just means it's different and it needs to be assessed on its own merits.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, they've just refused to accept our reports because they don't consider our own reporting to be evidence at all. And that's difficult when a lot of education happens through conversation and hands-on experience. That's really the best way to report on it.
Do you see it from their point of view at all that they need to ensure, I mean, obviously you're very committed to educating your children at home and have got very clear reasons for doing so, but that there might be parents who just aren't bothering to send their kids to school or indeed educate them properly at home? I mean, I suppose there has to be some way of assessing, whether children are being educated to the degree that they're going to require for adult life.
Oh, absolutely. And there are processes in place for this, and the school attendance order process is one of those processes. It's just a process that's supposed to be used only in extreme circumstances, when a child hasn't been receiving a suitable education, the parents either haven't been engaging at all or have been engaging and not been, not reacting well to the council's feedback. What we have with Portsmouth City Council is that parents are giving a lot of information. We send very thorough reports. I even sent photos of my children doing activities as verification, which is really almost an insulting thing to have to do. But they sent it, and they got all I got was form letters in return. They didn't engage with the information I sent at all, and that's it's hard to engage with something like that. Right? They just send out those school attendance orders that are supposed to be something you do when you really can't go any further. They send them out almost as kind of the basic form of communication.
And how has the court case been going? Have you been getting support from other home education groups or families across the UK?
Yeah, so we had the hearing on October 18. I can't really say much about it until we get the decision. But we have had amazing support from the home education community across the country. We raised £20,000 within 24 hours when we went out with our fundraiser, because obviously judicial reviews are very expensive things, and the Portsmouth home education community is quite small. And I think home educators really understand around the country that this could be them next, and they want clarity about what local authorities can ask from home educators and what home educators can expect from the local authority.
Well, when we contacted Portsmouth City Council for a statement, they said they do not wish to make any further comment until we have the outcome of the hearing. Rahel Berman, mum of two and home educator from Portsmouth, thank you so much for joining me.